From translation, NIV New International Version. This 91 day of the year. Today we are reading passages 1 Samuel 18 to 20. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 to 30. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From that day Saul kept David with him and did not let him return to his father's house. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic, and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. Whatever Saul sent him to do, David made sure it was done successfully, and so Saul gave him a high rank in the army. This pleased all the people, and Saul's officers as well. When the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, the women came out from all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful songs and with timbrels and lyres. As they danced, they sang, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." Saul was very angry. This song was not pleasing to him. He said, "They have credited David with tens of thousands, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom?" And from that day on Saul kept a jealous eye on David. The next day an evil spirit from God powerfully came upon Saul. He was prophesying in his house, while David was playing the lyre, as he usually did. Saul had a spear in his hand and he hurled it, thinking, "I'll pin David to the wall." But David eluded him twice. Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with David but had left Saul. So he sent David away from him and gave him command over 1,000 men, and David led the troops in their campaigns. In everything he did he had great success, because the Lord was with him. When Saul saw how successful he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he led them in their campaigns. Saul said to David, "Here is my older daughter Merab, I will give her to you in marriage. Only be brave for me and fight the Lord's battles." For Saul said to himself, "I don't want to raise a hand against him. Let the Philistines do that." But David said to Saul, "Who am I, and what is my family or my clan in Israel, that I should become the king's son-in-law?" When the time came for Merab, Saul's daughter, to be given to David, Saul was no longer willing to do so, because he was afraid of David. Now Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David, and when Saul was told about this he was pleased. "I will give her to him," he thought, "so that she may be a snare to him, and so that the hand of the Philistines may be against him." So Saul said to David, "Now you have a second opportunity to become my son-in-law." Then Saul ordered his attendants, "Speak to David privately and say, 'Look, the king is pleased with you and his attendants all like you. Now become his son-in-law.'" They repeated these words to David, but David said, "Do you think it is a small matter to become the king's son-in-law? I'm only a poor man and little known." When Saul's servants told him what David had said, Saul replied, "Say to David, 'The king wants no other price for the bride than 100 Philistine foreskins, to take revenge on his enemies.'" Saul's plan was to have David fall by the hands of the Philistines. When the attendants told David these things, he was pleased to become the king's son-in-law. So before the allotted time elapsed, David and his men went out and killed 200 Philistines. He brought their foreskins and presented the full number to the king so that he might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him his daughter Michal in marriage. When Saul realized that the Lord was with David and that his daughter Michal loved David, he became still more afraid of him, and he remained his enemy the rest of his days. The Philistine commanders continued to go out to battle, and as often as they did, David met with more success than the other officers of Saul's army, and his name became well known. 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 1 to 24. Saul told his son Jonathan and all his attendants to kill David. But Jonathan was very fond of David and warned him, "My father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning, go into hiding and stay there. I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I find out." Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father and said to him, "Let not the king do wrong to his servant David. He has not wronged you, and what he has done has benefited you greatly. He took his life in his hands when he killed the Philistine. The Lord won a great victory for all Israel, and you were glad to see it. Now why would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason?" Saul heeded Jonathan's words and took this oath, "As surely as the Lord lives, David shall not be put to death." So Jonathan called David and told him all these things. Then brought him to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. Once more war broke out, and David went out and fought the Philistines. He struck them with such force that they fled before him. But an evil spirit from the Lord came upon Saul as he was sitting in his house with his spear in hand. David was playing the lyre, and Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear. But David eluded him as Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night David made good his escape. Saul sent men to David's house to watch it and to kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, told him, If you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you'll be dead." Then Michal let David down through a window, and he fled and escaped. Michal took an idol and laid it on the bed, covering it with a garment and putting a pillow of goat's hair at its head. Then she sent messengers to Saul, saying, "David is ill at home." Saul sent the men to see David and told them, "Bring him up to me in his bed so I may kill him." The men went to David's house, and there was an idol in the bed with a garment of goat's hair at its head. Saul said to Michal, "Why did you deceive me like this and send my enemy away so that he escaped?" Michal told him, "He said to me, 'Let me get away or I'll kill you.'" When David had fled and escaped, he went to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. Then he and Samuel went to Naioth and stayed there. Word came to Saul, "David is at Naioth in Ramah." So Saul sent men to capture him. But when they saw a group of prophets prophesying with Samuel standing there as their leader, the Spirit of God came upon them, and they also prophesied. Saul was told about it, and he sent more men, and they prophesied too. Saul sent men a third time, and they also prophesied. Finally he himself left for Ramah, went to the great cistern at Seku, and asked, "Where are Samuel and David?" "They are at Naioth in Ramah," he was told. So he went to Naioth in Ramah, but the Spirit of God came even upon him, and he walked along prophesying until he came to Naioth. He stripped off his robes and also prophesied in Samuel's presence. He lay that way all that day and all that night. This is why people say, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 1 to 42. David fled from Naioth at Ramah and went to Jonathan and asked, "What have I done? What is my crime? How have I wronged your father that he is trying to take my life?" "You are not going to die," Jonathan declared. "You will not. It is my father who does it. What could I possibly do? I know very well he intends to harm you. As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, there is only a step between me and death." Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you want me to do, I'll do for you." So David said, "Tomorrow is the new moon festival, and I am supposed to dine with the king, but let me go and hide in the fields until the evening of the day after tomorrow. If your father misses me at all, say, 'David asked my permission to hurry to Bethlehem, his hometown, because there is a yearly sacrifice there for his whole family.' If he says, 'Very well,' then your servant is safe. But if he is angry, be sure that evil is on his mind. As for you, show kindness to your servant, for the Lord has chosen you to be king over Israel. Now show me the unfailing love of the Lord in this matter too, for I am bringing your servant into a covenant relationship with you. But if there is guilt in me, then kill me yourself. Why should you bring me to your father?" Jonathan said, "Never, you are not going to die. Look, as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, not a hair of your head will fall to the ground." If he says this, "Very well, it is well with you," then your servant is safe. But suppose he becomes very angry, then I will know that evil is on his mind. But be sure about this. If I am still alive a day from now, show me unfailing love, and if not, then I can be sure that you are planning to harm me. So keep your servant informed of what your father finds out." Jonathan's father Saul had told the officials to watch for David and to kill him. But Jonathan had told David, "Saul my father is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning, go into hiding and stay there. I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are, and I will speak to him about you. I will find out what he is doing and tell you. If he is willing to show you kindness, I will send you word and let you know. But if he intends to harm you, I will warn you and send you away in safety. May the Lord be between you and me, and between your descendants and mine forever." Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan said to him, "Tomorrow is the new moon festival. You will be missed because your seat will be empty. The day after tomorrow, toward evening, do as I tell you and leave from there. Go to the place where you hid when the affair came up, and stay by the stone Ezel. I will shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though I were shooting at a target. Then I will send a boy and say, 'Go, find the arrows.' If I say to the boy, 'Look, the arrows are on this side of you, bring them here,' then come, because as surely as the Lord lives, you are safe. But if I say to the boy, 'Look, the arrows are beyond you,' then you must go, because the Lord has sent you away. And about the matter you and I discussed, may the Lord be a witness between you and me forever." So David hid in the fields, and when the new moon festival came, the king sat down to eat. The king sat as usual on his seat by the wall, opposite Jonathan, and Abner was sitting next to Saul's seat. David's place was empty. But Saul did not say anything that day, for he thought, "Something must have happened to David unclean. He is definitely unclean." The next day, the 2nd day of the month, David's place was empty again. Then Saul said to his son Jonathan, "Why hasn't the son of Jesse come to eat yesterday or today?" Jonathan answered, "David earnestly asked my permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, 'Let me go, because our family is observing a sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to be there. If I find favor in your eyes, let me get away to see my brother.' That is why he has not come to the king's table." Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, "You son of a rebellious and obstinate woman. Don't I know that you have sided with the son of Jesse to your own shame, and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now send and bring him to me, for he must die." Jonathan answered his father Saul, "Why should he be put to death? What has he done?" But Saul hurled his spear at Jonathan to kill him. So Jonathan knew that his father had determined to kill David. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger. On that second day of the month he did not eat, because he was grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David. In the morning Jonathan took his little boy and went out to the field where they had arranged their meeting. "Go," he said to the boy, "find the arrows." As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow was, Jonathan called out after him, "Isn't the arrow beyond you?" Then Jonathan shouted, "Hurry, go quickly, don't stop." And Jonathan's boy picked up the arrow and returned to his master. The boy knew nothing of all this, only Jonathan and David knew. Then Jonathan gave his weapons to the boy and said, "Go, carry them back to town." After the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone and bowed down before Jonathan 3 times, with his face to the ground. Then they kissed each other and wept together, but David wept the most. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord be between you and me, and between your descendants and mine forever.'" Then David left, and Jonathan went back to the town.